Hi, my name is Matthew Jester, and this video is Hypnosis and Drawings, part 2 of 2. So, I have a certificate of completion just showing that I'm certified and competent in the field of hypnosis. This is from Mike Mandel Hypnosis Academy. Please watch my video, Hypnosis, Abuse, and Speech Inhibition. I will leave a link to watch the video in the description. I'll also leave additional links in the description of other relevant videos. I've been abused with hypnosis, and my ability to speak is being inhibited with hypnosis, which is why I have to read everything when I make videos. If you notice me stuttering, speaking slowly, being unable to speak clearly like I am now, or any other difficulty speaking, I explain in detail the specific methods and techniques that are being used to inhibit my ability to speak in my video, Hypnosis, Abuse, and Speech Inhibition. These issues speaking occur consistently in each of my videos, specifically within the first 3 minutes. The hypnosis inhibiting my ability to speak is often very noticeable throughout my videos, and I will leave a list of the various hypnotic commands that are specifically being used to inhibit my ability to speak that can be recognized in my body language, facial expressions, tone of voice, and speech patterns in the description. In the last video, I explained how I was hypnotized to draw as a method of concealing my ability to write being inhibited by hypnosis, and in this video, I'm going to show some examples of the drawings in detail, explaining the picture's symbolism and how the pictures are evidence that an organized crime operation used hypnosis to discreetly premeditate death threats to the celebrity Billie Eilish. So, this is the article that I'm referencing. This is from TMZ. This is the website where you can find the actual copies of the death threat letters I'm referencing right now in the article. So, we'll go ahead and get started. The drawings and the letters were simple enough for almost anyone to be able to draw. Several drawings referenced religion, such as crosses. None of the drawings were threatening and were very unusual and abnormal to be included in death threat letters, that it raised suspicion for me that he was hypnotized to draw the pictures like I was. The pictures in the letters cued specific metaphors, I was told, when I was hypnotized, indicating even the pictures John Matthew Hurl drew were premeditated. The metaphors were divided into confusing and vague segments over several hours, and my memory was repressed of each metaphor before I was cued to remember the next metaphor. This was done to make the metaphors seem insignificant as evidence, so that I wouldn't write it down. The pictures reminded me of what I discussed in the last video, where I was hypnotized to draw on the walls of the jail, and I was hypnotized to think that drawing on the walls of the jail was worshiping the devil, and the pictures were like hieroglyphs, specifically because they were drawn on the walls. I was hypnotized to think of pyramids when I saw the triangles drawn in the letters, and then I was hypnotized to think the triangles or pyramid on fire meant child slave labor, and to think of the song Cradles by Suburban when I saw the fire. I was hypnotized to think the pyramid on fire meant child slave labor because the album cover for the song Cradles was a cradle on fire, and the cradle was supposed to reference children, and it was once believed that the pyramids were built by slaves before they discovered evidence indicating otherwise, at least. So, I'll go ahead and show some examples of these drawings that I'm referencing. Some of these look like diagrams, like this one right here. Very simple. You know, with the arrows, it makes it look a little bit more pyramid-ish, although, of course, that's not the intended structure of the shape. And then this one is very simple drawing as well. Let's see, there is another one on this page. Again, very similar to the last one. Just about anybody could draw these. And then this one, you can see it looks like, especially with the bottom of the triangle being pointed down, it gives it the illusion that it's a pyramid or three-dimensional instead of two-dimensional. So it also looks like it is on fire or surrounded by something resembling such. And there are a few more drawings too. The next ones we're going to be reviewing, actually. You can see kind of a little bit of a similar concept there. Looks like a pyramid on fire almost. Eyes are often also depicted in a lot of hieroglyphs as well. This picture right here, the flower, is what I'm going to be referencing next. So I was hypnotized to think, did you SpongeBob her, when I saw the flower labeled Lucifer, and then I was hypnotized to think of kelp, because SpongeBob references kelp a few times in his cartoons. This made sense because the flower petal somewhat resembled kelp like in the cartoon, but it didn't make sense why the flower was labeled Lucifer or the devil, And then I was hypnotized to think it was because kelp is also known as seaweed, and to think of a cartoon parody I've seen with SpongeBob called Sponge Bong, referencing marijuana in the parody because weed is known as the devil's lettuce. And since the flower was, quote, seaweed, the flower was the devil. One of the political petitions and programs I designed was to legalize marijuana, and hypnosis was used to stop me, which is why the flower drawing and marijuana metaphor was used to specifically reference my situation. So, let's see. I am going to go ahead and review some pictures. Go over a list of the various pictures I was hypnotized to draw, over any mistakes in my handwriting since I wasn't given an eraser while in jail. And I'm going to briefly show a few examples of what the final result of the hypnotic drawings would look like. Afterwards, I'm going to describe the symbolism and specific meaning associated with each picture in detail. The pictures didn't seem like they're very convicting forms of evidence, although several of the pictures have overwhelmingly elaborate and extensive metaphorical symbolism, making the pictures extremely convicting forms of evidence. Further evidence is available in the security camera footage of the 2 emergency room visits when I was hypnotized on camera, and the social worker can be seen having me draw the pictures on her clipboard. The dates of the emergency room visits I was hypnotized in Jordan Valley Medical Center's emergency room were August 24th, 2019 and September 17th, 2019. With HIPAA privacy laws, they are legally obligated to keep those for 7 years in hospitals. So, this is just a list of the various drawings that I was hypnotized to draw. So you can see a pointed letter H, a pointed letter N, resembling stick figures. This one was just a simple coffin, a crown representing Billie Eilish's "You Should See Me in a Crown." The coffin, by the way, actually represented Eminem's album "Music to Be Murdered By," and it was also a reference to death or murder. I was hypnotized to draw a flight of stairs. I'm going to elaborate more on that one later. A pill with a Klonopin inscription or a bubble lettering K, and a pill with a bubble lettering V, representing Klonopin and Valium. And then an Adderall pill with a number 30 inscription on the pill on a scored tablet, meaning, easy to break in half. And then with the little horizontal lines representing spinning of the pill as if spinning a football, like motion. So a washing machine was a reference to brainwashing. A dollar, this is the very similar to what you would see on the back of a dollar bill, pyramid with an eye on the top. I was also hypnotized to draw a gun, which was a reference to a song by Snoop Lion called "No Guns Allowed," ironically. This was a fraudulent Make-A-Wish Foundation logo I was hypnotized to draw. I explained that as well in further detail. I was also hypnotized to draw mountains, which represented Intermountain Healthcare, the healthcare organization I have medical malpractice against. I was also hypnotized to draw a fraudulent version or variation, alteration, of the NBC logo because they didn't want me to draw marijuana leaves, and it was I was able to draw I was able to draw a logo that somewhat resembled the NBC logo, but not marijuana leaves very well. I was hypnotized to draw various cigarettes as well. So this cigarette was supposed to represent, since it was unlit or unsmoked, that no harm was intended. In other words, I did not wish death upon anybody. The lit cigarette or the smoked cigarette, I was hypnotized to think meant that I was, quote, smoking somebody or I wanted to murder somebody. The cigarette with the shadowing resembled some of the old black and white movies where you'd see criminal investigations, things along those lines, detectives and things like that, and it was supposed to represent a murder investigation. And then I was also hypnotized to draw an eye, very similar to the pyramid drawing that I was hypnotized to draw right here, to represent FBI, or FBI Witness Protection Program. And then I was hypnotized to draw a heart, which was supposed to represent the song Heartbreaker by Justin Bieber. I was hypnotized to draw a little bunny to represent one of Ariana Grande's albums where she's wearing the bunny ears. I was also hypnotized to draw a pocket watch, which was supposed to represent the song No Time to Die by Billie Eilish, because pocket watches are used to tell time. And it's also a reference to Murder with Hypnosis, hence the reason why it's a pocket watch specifically. I explained that later in further detail. I was hypnotized to draw an hourglass, just representing time simply. I was hypnotized to draw a cradle on fire. This is what was depicted in the album cover for the song Cradles by Suburban, or a less professional looking drawing, very simple shape, just of a basic cradle. And then this was supposed to represent children dying, some various threats that I was given, and it had multiple different meanings. So I was also hypnotized to draw a sailboat with wind blowing against the sails, and this was supposed to represent ADHD and the song Sail by AWOL Nation, with the reference to attention deficit disorder in the lyrics. I was hypnotized to draw a bell similar to the type of bell that you would ring in a hotel or motel. Basically to get get attention of the front desk employee if you're trying to check in for a room. Hypnotized to draw a bird in a cage. This was also supposed to represent incarceration, and specifically false imprisonment. And I was hypnotized to draw a music note, because a lot of these really had references to a lot of different songs. Let's see. I was hypnotized to draw a door with light shining, which was a reference to Knocking on Heaven's Door, a song by Guns N' Roses that my mother listened to a lot. I was hypnotized to draw a mushroom cloud representing a bomb. I explained in further detail what exactly that was supposed to mean. A question mark in the shape of a heart. I was also hypnotized to draw a hat. This is something that you might see like a sultan or a prince wear. Reminds me of the movie Aladdin. It was supposed to represent Will Smith and the song Will by Will Smith and Joyner Lucas. I was also hypnotized to draw some crosses. The religious symbolism and the letters reminded me of the patterns that I was hypnotized to draw as well while I was in jail. I was hypnotized to draw a simple stick figure with wings representing an angel, and of course, a song that even references death or grieving, called Anthem of the Angels by Breaking Benjamin. You can see the music theme here. There is also another reference for a song called Full-Time Cappers by G-Eazy, the rapper. And this is a little bit unique, a degree in a graduation cap, indicating like full-time education or schooling. And I was hypnotized to think that this was a reference towards the people that I was dealing with being very well educated and intelligent. I was also hypnotized to draw a tree with a noose knot hanging from it. Bushy, simple tree. I was also hypnotized to draw a nuclear power cooling tower that we would see at nuclear power plants commonly. And this was actually done to try to prevent me from drawing trees. I'll explain that in further detail. Hypnotized to draw a ticket as if you're going to see a movie. Maybe not, doesn't exactly represent a movie ticket necessarily, but you get the gist of it. And I was also hypnotized to draw a rat, and very simple. object. And actually, if I drew the rat with a, I was also hypnotized to draw the rat with a broken tail, which represented breaking my legs and was also a reference to calling me an experiment or like a lab rat. A dead person, you can see very simple shaping there. Telephone, various different types of phones. Of course, I was actually hypnotized mostly not to be able to draw telephones very well, if at all. A TV. This was a reference towards me trying to get media attention and publicity. A hand cramping. This was a reference towards the difficulty that I had with the hypnosis inhibiting me and causing confusion to prevent me from being able to draw ocean waves that resembled ocean waves like I was attempting to, and actually ended up almost resembling a hand that looked like it was cramping almost. If you can imagine. So, specifically, you can see the difference there with the spacing and increased curvature and even little hooks at the end of the waves. And I was hypnotized to not be aware of when to draw the curls or the hooks at the end. To make sure it didn't look like a hand. So, this was also a reference to a song called Fantasy by Alina Baraz and Galimatias. The reference there is because she references waves in the lyrics. I was also hypnotized to think that the hand was a reference for the song Handwritten by Shawn Mendes, or it might have been an album actually. Let's see, a house. So I was actually hypnotized not to draw very many houses, but regardless, for the context of drawing death threat letters, even, I was hypnotized to think of drawing like a house on fire, kind of like the cradle, similar concept, and there was a reference to doodles to be murdered by, or in other words, basically, the suspicion regarding why somebody would be doodling and letters threatening death upon somebody. Then, this is also, I was hypnotized to draw my letter Y's and to think of pitchforks and farmers, specifically to remember how to draw the Y's with a curve instead of, just two straight lines like this, for example. So this was something that made me feel as if my handwriting was much more neat, legible, etc. And of course, it's missing the middle prong for like a pitchfork necessarily, but I was hypnotized to think that they told me that they were going to help me change my handwriting because I had very sloppy and messy handwriting from my ADHD, and also referencing how ADHD was the devil. So since the handwriting analysis came from being taught to change my handwriting because of my ADHD, that was analyzing the behaviors associated with ADHD, or basically referenced an indirect metaphor for like devil worship or something along those lines. And even referencing some lyrics from an Eminem song called Kill You. Let's see, and then that pitchfork also, I was hypnotized to even draw a stick figure, and this is, the variations, the very simple steps that led up to that. This was supposed to represent broken knees, as you can see. And a reference to the song Bad Guy by Billie Eilish. I was also hypnotized to draw a potted flower, which was supposed to represent Halsey, the singer. Not a specific song, just her in general. A not exactly professionally or well-drawn jester hat, just representing my last name. This one is a little bit more unique because I was even hypnotized to think that I could draw a spider with 8 of them. With these being legs and feet instead of bells, and basically, since the way I was hypnotized to draw it, also, I don't exactly know why, but representing broken legs. I do explain and reference that quite a bit, actually, but regardless, gaslighting is also known as a form of psychological abuse, and it's referencing, it's a lit match or a match that's on fire. Very, very simple drawing. It would actually happen on accident when I would dot my eyes with an open large dot, like this. Except, sometimes I would just have a little bit of a, like that. Anyways, so the song Easy by G-Eazy was a song that helped me cope, actually, with gaslighting and that form of psychological abuse that I experienced in the past. And that's why it was a reference for that. I was also hypnotized to draw a 2-dimensional bike and then a 3-dimensional bike. And using the same shaping structure for the pitchfork and how they taught me to change my handwriting for the letter Y, as well as how to draw a stick figure with what appears to be broken legs, and how to draw the handlebars for a bike, as well as even how to draw a eagle with wings, which vaguely resembles the United States presidential seal with a bald eagle. So, I do remember the social worker specifically having me draw a bike, a 3-dimensional bike too, and also showing me the how this could represent how I would draw my E's like a backwards number 3, just with the handlebars in the seat and the base of the frame for the bike, and then the bottom portion of the frame connecting the wheels, and before connecting to the handlebars, of course, without the base frame, resembles vaguely resembles the number 2. And I was also hypnotized to draw a hat with a feather in it. This was also used to cover up me writing Adult Protective Services, specifically, and to think that it was a reference for the song I Need a Doctor by Eminem, Skylar Grey, and Dr. Dre. And the reason being is I was also hypnotized to draw a little sun underneath a hat, and to imagine the sun brightening up the sky, and it also cued me to have to remember the song, simple song like referencing somebody being sunshine and making a person happy when skies are cloudy or gray, like Skylar's name. Then I was also hypnotized to draw the presidential seal, and it was also even an indirect reference to a hypnotic seal too, based off of the reasoning for why I was hypnotized in the first place, and also even a reference to the song Goldwing by Billie Eilish, with a little bit of mystery regarding the lyrics and secrecy specifically. So those are some of the, that's a list of the various drawings, some of the very basic shapes. These are what the drawings would look like as a final result and project. This is what it would realistically look like without being able to use an eraser. You can see I drew this in pen, actually. And you can see some of these pictures are much larger. For example, specifically the mountains being much, much larger, and multiple of the same pictures. I had to draw mountains twice, oversized bell, oversized pyramid, for example. The reason being was without being able to compensate and for mistakes in handwriting, having to draw over the mistakes in my handwriting, which is how this would turn into these collages. And basically, I describe in a little bit further detail how exactly these come to turn out. And the content for a lot of these is rather dark. I will go ahead and explain some of this in further detail. So regardless, I'll go ahead and get started with explaining in further detail now. In hypnosis, there is a concept known as the critical faculty, which is responsible for processing, interpreting, analyzing, and questioning information before acceptance into the unconscious mind. Children under the age of 7 have underdeveloped critical faculties that readily accept information without questioning, processing, analyzing, or interpreting the information. An example of this would be how children believe in the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, and the Tooth Fairy. In the hypnotic trance called somnambulism, which is commonly seen in stage hypnosis shows, the critical faculty can be less capable of rejecting information than that of a small child's. So that's how they were able to convince me of this. This story sounds difficult to believe, although with an understanding of how hypnosis works and the phenomena that hypnosis can produce, it's easy to understand how they were able to get me to believe it using hypnosis. So the people that hypnotized me impersonated the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I was told that I was going to make a movie for the Make-A-Wish Foundation and that the Make-A-Wish Foundation was going to give me everything I wanted. I was told they were going to hypnotize someone to commit suicide to prevent